Think you know everything about Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence's prison comedy? In the next few minutes, you're going to discover 15 facts that will completely change the way you watch this film. From genuine on-set accidents that became iconic scenes to massive continuity blunders the editors somehow missed. This film is hiding more than you ever imagined. And we've saved something for the very end that almost nobody on the internet has ever talked about. So speed up with me because the list starts now. Number 1. Real injury, real laughter. Some of the best moments in film history happened by accident, and one of life's most beloved scenes was built on a genuine mishap that nobody planned. During filming, Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy had to stand barefoot on a case of glass bottles as punishment. But mid-take, Lawrence's toe slipped into the neck of one of the bottles and got completely stuck. Instead of calling cut, he stayed in character and worked the real situation into his performance, mentioning the bottle out loud, not scripted, just his actual predicament happening in real time. Murphy lost it. The laughter you see on screen wasn't acting. He was genuinely cracking up because his co-star was stuck in a bottle during what was supposed to be a serious punishment scene. The director kept every second of it. What this accident reveals is how much these two trusted each other. They stayed in the scene even when things went completely sideways, because their genuine friendship translated into the kind of on-screen chemistry you simply cannot manufacture. The bottle scene was designed to show Ray and Claude's loyalty. Lawrence's real injury and Murphy's unscripted reaction gave that loyalty a foundation that felt completely real, because it was. Number 2. Rick James wasn't acting when Rick James walked onto the screen as Spanky Johnson. That slow, intimidating stride felt like pure character work. It wasn't acting at all. James had recently undergone hip replacement surgery before production began, and the filmmakers shot his scenes during his recovery. The limp that makes Spanky feel like a man you genuinely don't want to cross was the result of a real medical procedure and the physical limitations of healing from major surgery. Hip replacements require months of rehabilitation. Taking on an acting role during that period is no small feat, and James delivered a memorably menacing performance while dealing with genuine physical discomfort. Here's the thing, the filmmakers leaned right into it. Rather than postponing his scenes or working around his condition, they let his real physical state shape the character. Spanky's threatening presence was authentic because it had to be. No choreographer could have designed something more convincing than what James naturally brought to that role. If you are enjoying this, take 2 seconds and leave a like. Subscribe if you want more videos like this. That support really motivates my work and helps a lot with bringing more content. Number 3. The one time Murphy played only one person. Eddie Murphy built his career on transformation. In The Nutty Professor, he played the entire Clump family. In Coming to America, he disappeared into multiple characters so completely that audiences didn't recognize him. That multi-character signature is practically his brand. Life is the one exception. His longtime collaborator Rick Baker, a 7-time Oscar winner, had a completely different assignment here. Instead of designing new personas for Murphy to inhabit, Baker focused all of his artistry on a single challenge: aging Ray Gibson convincingly across more than 60 years of imprisonment. From a sharp-tongued hustler in 1932 to a frail elderly man in the 1990s, Baker had to make time itself visible on one face. The result earned the film an Oscar nomination for Best Makeup, proving that Baker's greatest talent wasn't just creating wildly different characters. It was making one character's journey through time feel completely believable. Life stands alone in Murphy's filmography as the movie where one man's story was more than enough. Number 4. Biscuit's death was never in the script. Biscuit's suicide is one of the most quietly devastating moments in the film. What makes it even more remarkable is that nobody in the writer's room wrote it. Miguel A. Nunez Jr., who played Biscuit, has spoken about how the original script had his character receiving a simple release document, a routine transition with no real emotional weight. Nunez decided to transform the entire moment into something much more powerful. He changed what Biscuit was receiving and turned the scene into a choice between freedom and survival. The context is everything. Biscuit was in a relationship with Jangle Leg. Returning home as a gay black man in 1940s Mississippi wasn't just socially complicated, it was potentially life-threatening. The family confrontation, the community judgment, the shame that waited beyond that prison gate was something Biscuit couldn't face. So he ran past the gun line, knowing exactly what would happen. Nunez didn't just improvise a death scene, he improvised one of the film's most honest statements about identity and impossible choices. The writers could have done something functional with that moment. Nunez turned it into something unforgettable. Number 5. Parchman Farm was actually California. The entire story takes place in Mississippi. The Parchman State Penitentiary, the rural landscape, the oppressive atmosphere of the Deep South, all of it supposedly rooted in one very specific place. Not one single frame was filmed there. The production shot entirely in California from March through June of 1998. In the Los Angeles area, the crew used locations in Downey and Norwalk, along with the Universal Pictures backlot, which allowed them to build out the prison sets in controlled environments. Northern California contributed as well. Sacramento, Brentwood, and the small town of Lockford all stood in for various Mississippi settings. The decision was almost certainly practical. Hollywood infrastructure, available crew, and studio resources all pointed towards staying in California. But the real achievement belongs to the production design team. They recreated the visual identity of the rural 1930s Deep South so convincingly that it never once crossed audiences' minds to question the geography. The best movie magic is the kind that's completely invisible. Number 6. The Harlem Nights Easter egg Eddie Murphy has always had a habit of winking at his own filmography. In life, he buried one of his most specific callbacks inside a prison yard fight scene. When Ray goes up against Goldmouth, the massive inmate dominating the prison hierarchy, Ray is clearly losing badly. And yet, even while getting physically overpowered, he delivers a trash talk line referencing someone named Della who hits harder than his opponent. That name is the entire joke. In Murphy's 1989 film Harlem Nights, his character Quick gets into a fight with a formidable madam played by veteran performer Della Reese. That confrontation was also brutally one-sided. Murphy's character getting the worst of it against someone with far more presence and power than him. By dropping Della's name while getting pummeled by Goldmouth, Ray is essentially admitting he's been in this situation before and lost then too. The callback rewards longtime Murphy fans while working perfectly as pure character comedy for everyone else. It's the kind of detail that turns a comedy into something with real texture. Murphy wasn't just delivering lines, he was building connections across a decade of his career. Number 7. That newborn was definitely not a newborn. One of the funniest, unintentional moments in life comes from a scene that was already comedic by design, and then accidentally became funnier because of an obvious casting decision nobody seemed to catch. The scene involves the prison superintendent trying to identify which inmate fathered his daughter's mixed-race baby. The story treats this as a fresh birth. The superintendent is supposedly examining the child within the first day of its life. There's just one problem. The baby in the film was clearly 3 to 5 months old. Real newborns have almost no muscle control. They can't hold their heads up. They spend most of their time sleeping. The infant in this scene does none of those things. It's wide awake, alert, holding its head independently, and tracking movement while being carried around a prison lineup. None of that is physically possible for a genuine hours-old infant. Hollywood uses older babies as stand-ins for newborns constantly due to strict regulations and the practical impossibility of directing a newborn. But in most films, quick cuts make the substitution invisible. In life, the scene lingers long enough that the baby's age becomes genuinely conspicuous. And once you know, it's impossible to watch that lineup with a straight face. Number 8. The Door That Has a Mind of Its Own Life deals with serious themes: racial discrimination, wrongful imprisonment, stolen lives. So it's particularly notable that one of its most memorable moments is an accidental magic trick involving a door. During the diner scene where Ray and Claude encounter Jim Crow segregation, they push through the entrance and the door swings open, staying visibly open in the background as they approach the counter for their tense exchange with the hostile waitress. Then the waitress asks if they saw the sign prohibiting their entry. Both men turn to look back at the entrance, and the door, which was wide open moments ago, has somehow closed itself. Nobody went near it, nobody touched it, but the film wasn't done. When Ray and Claude leave after the confrontation, the door has opened again on its own. It changed position at least twice with no visible human intervention. This almost always happens when scenes are filmed out of sequence, and editors assemble takes without checking breaking background continuity. A door in the wrong position sounds trivial, but in a scene meant to carry genuine dramatic weight, it's the kind of detail that pulls you completely out of the moment once you notice it. Before we keep going, subscribe if you haven't yet. Drop a comment telling me which movie or show you want me to cover next with strange behind-the-scenes facts. I read every single one. Number 9. The ad-libs that made the final cut. Some of the best moments in life weren't written by anyone. They were discovered in real time by two comedic actors given the freedom to follow the scene wherever it wanted to go. Murphy and Lawrence regularly went off script throughout production. Their natural banter had a rhythm and specificity that scripted dialogue couldn't replicate. The directors recognized this early and made a deliberate choice to preserve the improvised exchanges that felt most alive, blending them into the theatrical cut alongside the written material. The result is a film where the chemistry between the leads feels unusually authentic. When Ray and Claude argue or share a quiet moment, there's a texture to their interaction that suggests two people who've genuinely spent decades together, because in the shared experience of making this film, they had. The credits include an extended blooper reel, giving audiences a window into the atmosphere on set. The standout moment involves Murphy completely breaking character during the pocket watch sequence to deliver an unscripted line that captures his comedic instincts at their purest. The filmmakers clearly understood they'd captured something rare and didn't want any of it to disappear. Number 10. The scar that couldn't make up its mind. Sheriff Pike is defined by his facial scar. It's his visual signature, the mark left by Winston Hancock, the motivation behind his corruption, and the physical reminder connecting him to the crime that destroyed Ray and Claude's lives, which makes it ironic that the scar can't decide what it looks like. When Pike first appears in 1932, the scar runs in a clean vertical line up his face. That orientation stays consistent through the early portion of the film and helps establish him as the villain. Then he reappears decades later for the climactic confrontation with the elderly Ray and Claude, and the scar has shifted. What was vertical is now angled, positioned differently as though the wound remembered itself incorrectly. This is almost always a symptom of non-sequential filming. Life was shot over several months, and Pike's scenes across different time periods were likely filmed weeks apart, possibly by different makeup artists working from reference photos. A prosthetic scar applied by slightly different hands on different days won't land in exactly the same place twice. For most details, that's invisible, but the scar is narratively central to Pike's identity, which makes the change particularly noticeable. Number 11. The line that predicted a movie title. Sometimes dialogue ends up meaning something its writers never intended. Life contains one of the most accidentally prophetic lines in Martin Lawrence's entire filmography. During the interrogation sequence, when Ray and Claude face the possibility of being convicted for a murder they didn't commit, Claude delivers what feels like a desperate rhetorical question, asking what the worst possible outcome could be. In context, it's perfect. Claude trying to maintain some optimism while reality closes in around him. What nobody could have predicted was what would happen 2 years later. In 2001, Lawrence starred in a comedy film with that exact phrase as its title, What's the Worst That Could Happen?, featuring Lawrence opposite Danny DeVito in a story about an escalating personal rivalry. The two films couldn't be more different in tone. One, a decade-spanning drama about wrongful imprisonment, the other, a broad mainstream comedy. The accidental bridge between them, a line delivered in fear that became the premise of something completely different, is a genuinely strange piece of trivia, connecting two very distinct chapters of Lawrence's career through nothing but coincidence. Nobody planned it. It just happened. Number 12. The song from the future period films live and die by historical detail. So when a movie set in a specific decade accidentally includes something that didn't exist for another 20 years, it's a significant oversight. During a scene meant to capture Claude's experience of the cultural changes happening outside in the 1970s, someone passes by with a portable stereo, and the song playing is a smooth R&B track from the late 1990s, released the same year Life hit theaters. The problem is obvious once you do the math. That song cannot logically exist in a scene set 20 years earlier. The production quality, the arrangement, the sonic signature of late 90s R&B, all of it is distinctly contemporary to when the film was made, not to the era it's depicting. Music fans who recognized the track would have been immediately pulled out of the scene. This kind of error almost always happens in post-production, when music supervisors select something emotionally appropriate without verifying whether it's historically accurate. In a film that otherwise goes to considerable lengths recreating different decades, the costumes, the set design, the cinematography, one careless music choice creates a crack in the historical illusion that's hard to unsee once you've noticed it. Number 13. The poster lied to everyone. Before audiences ever sat down to watch Life, the marketing department had already told them a specific story about what kind of movie they were about to see. That story was almost completely wrong. The theatrical poster shows Murphy and Lawrence sandwiched between two enormous, physically imposing inmates who loom over them with clear menace, suggesting a prison movie heavy on violence and threat. Those two figures are Jangle Leg and Goldmouth, played by Bernie Mac and Michael Taliaferro. Here's what the poster doesn't tell you. Jangle Leg is actually one of the gentlest characters in the film. He's in a loving relationship with Biscuit. When he makes a pass at Ray early on, he accepts the rejection with complete grace and never becomes aggressive. The poster turns a nuanced, sympathetic character into a visual predator. Goldmouth is somewhat more antagonistic, but his arc resolves quickly and he eventually becomes something closer to a community fixture than an ongoing villain. The real film is a deeply human story about friendship and the passage of time. The poster sold something darker and more exploitative. It's a reminder that marketing and filmmakers sometimes have completely different ideas about what a movie actually is, and the marketing version is always the one audiences encounter first. Quick reminder to subscribe if you are enjoying these revelations. And tell me in the comments, do you know any strange fact about this movie that I didn't mention? Let's build the list together. Number 14. Murphy's bodysuit caught on camera. Rick Baker's makeup work on Life earned an Oscar nomination, which makes it all the more remarkable that one of the most visible makeup malfunctions in comedy film history made it into the final theatrical cut, and nobody stopped it. During the retirement home sequence, as Ray and Claude prepare for bed as elderly men, Murphy lifts his shirt on camera, and right there, in plain sight, the edges and seams of his prosthetic bodysuit become completely visible. The padding meant to create the appearance of an older, heavier man shifts into frame, breaking the illusion Baker's team had worked months to construct. Murphy can actually be seen pulling the bodysuit back down toward his waist mid-scene, trying to correct the malfunction in real time, which makes the blooper even more visible rather than less. What's baffling is how this survived post-production. The film went through editing, studio screenings, and quality review before theaters. Multiple professionals with responsibility for the final product watched this scene and cleared it. For a film recognized specifically for its makeup artistry, an on-camera malfunction of this magnitude is either a fascinating oversight or a deliberate choice nobody has ever adequately explained. Number 15. Trucks from the Wrong Decade Life is set in 1932. The production team went to considerable effort to recreate that era visually. And yet, in the background of the early road scenes, something appears that couldn't possibly exist in 1932. As Ray and Claude drive toward Mississippi, vehicles from the 1970s and 80s are clearly visible in the background. Modern white trucks with contemporary styling parked near homes and buildings, the characters pass during their journey. The boxy, rounded silhouettes of authentic 1930s automobiles have a completely different visual character than anything produced 40 years later. These trucks don't blend, they announce themselves. This is an occupational hazard of filming period stories in real locations. Life was shot entirely in California on actual streets and neighborhoods, and the production couldn't control what residents parked in their driveways. A closed studio lot is fully controllable. The real world is not. So while every element of the main action was carefully period accurate, the background occasionally told a completely different story. These trucks are accidental time machines, windows into a present that has no business existing in a movie set in the past. Almost at the end, and the best is still coming. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next, and drop your city or country in the comments. I want to see how far this video is reaching. Bonus, the aging philosophy that changed everything. Almost nobody talks about this. And it's arguably the most fascinating creative decision in the entire production. We established that Life is the one Murphy film where he plays only one character. But here's what people miss. That wasn't just a stylistic choice. it was a philosophical statement about what this story required. Rick Baker made a conscious decision to approach Ray Gibson's aging not as a transformation, but as a continuous, invisible evolution. In every other Murphy-Baker collaboration, the goal was contrast. The reveal was the point. You were supposed to be shocked when you realized Murphy was under the prosthetics, but in life, there is no reveal. The aging is slow, incremental, and designed to go completely unnoticed. Baker's work was meant to make audiences feel the passage of time emotionally rather than intellectually, not to make you think about the makeup, but to make you feel that 60 years had genuinely passed. That's an almost impossible ask. It's the difference between designing a costume and sculpting a life. Baker created a visual timeline of a human being across 6 decades. On a character the audience had to care about deeply enough to follow the entire journey. The Oscar nomination wasn't just recognition of technical skill. It was recognition of a fundamentally different philosophy about what makeup could do in service of a story. Nobody talks about it because the work succeeded completely. The best makeup is the kind you never consciously notice. And that's exactly what Baker built for life. And those were 15 strange facts about life, one of the most underrated comedies of the 1990s. A film that makes you laugh until your sides hurt and then hits you somewhere real. It deserves far more credit than it gets. If you made it this far, leave a like, subscribe, and comment which fact surprised you the most. Don't forget to suggest another movie that deserves a list of strange facts. See you in the next video.